again, I need to plan ahead. I need to know that she's gonna land in the middle of the bed so that it makes my bed mobility simpler, okay? So I know my wheelchair is gonna be parallel. I know I want it as close as possible. That way we're taking fewer steps backwards towards the bed. So I'm gonna have the drive wheel pretty much touch the bed. What's the first step we do? When she stands up, what's the first thing she's gonna do?
Keep coming on.
We're stepping forward, right? As soon as we're up, she's taking one step forward. So I know if we're sitting here, she's not gonna land here. She's taking a step forward. She's gonna land more like here. So I need to take that into account when I position the wheelchair, okay? So I might come back slightly, knowing she's gonna take that first step forward. And then I'm gonna lock wheelchair. I'm transferring to the strong side. Her left leg is affected. I'm gonna get this one, lift this leg for me. If you get trapped here and can't get this out, just unlock that side, pivot it, and bring it back. We don't need these again, so they can go out of the way because we're actually gonna be walking forward with this. Affected leg, can I do this to get it off?
No.
What should I do instead?
Slouch.
Just extend the knee, okay? You can even, if you've got an impulsive patient that's kind of doing their own thing, you can even block here, so that way they don't hike that hip, and you can support the leg, okay? That way we're just extending the knee to get it out of the way, and then you can bring it back down. Okay, so leg rests are off. My job is to stay in front of the patient. That's as if I were to put the gait belt on. So gait belt could have been on as soon as I got here. That's ideal. Let's say I forgot until right now. It's no issue. She can just slide her hips forward, keeping the shoulders back. I would reach around her, put the gait belt on, have her slide her hips back. So as long as she doesn't do that and bring her shoulders forward, I'm okay to have a hand off because I'm in front of the patient, okay? So she's in position, got the gait belt on. I'm going to bring the walker in front of her, caster wheels, make sure they're turned out. And sanitize.
Could you use your foot to do it instead of your hand?
I've had students ask me that before. If you can like nicely maneuver it, that's fine. What I usually see is, which doesn't look the best, so depends on how you can do it. I just don't want to see something that looks like you're kicking a patient.
All over the place.
Okay. So we're here. Caster wheels are right. Planned ahead so we land in the middle of the bed. Gait belt is on. So we're talking about guarding the patient now. I'm not blocking her leg. She's going to be standing. The walker's in front of her, not me. So she is going to slouch. Bring those hips forward. And now you can bring the shoulders forward. Good. And eye hand is on here. 1 for trunk control, 2 so I can stop her from coming too far forward. Okay. Now that she's here, I want you to bend your right knee. Bring that foot underneath your knee. Good. That way she's putting more weight on the unaffected. Affected leg, go ahead and step that foot forward just a little bit. Again, opens that hip angle. So from here, I need to hold the gait belt. What type of grip?
Under.
Underhand, okay? We are taking steps. We're walking per se for this transfer. When we are up and moving like that, I need 2 points of trunk contact at all times, okay? So this hand is gonna match under the shoulder, underhand grip on the gait belt. My stance is AP, and I'm on the affected side. So on the count of 3, I want you to push through the armrest. Try to lead with your hips. We're gonna stand up. 1, 2, 3, up. Beautiful. She's gonna grab it, bring that left leg back, and bring that right leg forward. So we're in a neutral position. We're starting position. I'm as close as I can be, but the wheelchair's in the way. Take 1 step forward, wheelchair, or take the walker forward, and your left leg, and your right leg. Now there's a space. I can guard the patient. I've got an AP stance. I am posterior lateral. So instead of lateral, and instead of straight posterior, it's somewhere in between. So I'm here. My right leg is behind her affected leg. If she were to fall, she could kind of sit against my leg. And I can either lower her to the ground, or I could try to stand her back up, okay? This leg is lateral to increase my base of support. The gesturing I'm doing, you will not do, okay? Because this hand needs to stay on the patient. So we took our step forward. Next step is to start turning. I want you to turn your left toes, your left foot out, move the walker, and then move your right foot. Now I'm gonna move again. So turn those left toes out, walker, and then right foot. She's perpendicular to the bed. We're gonna start stepping back. Make sure you're not in the patient's way. You can kind of give her some room, but still maintain that position. I don't wanna see this, because this is when she could fall backwards, and you need to be in a position to catch the patient. AP stance, 2 points of contact. Come back with this right foot. Walk to the left. One more. Do you feel the bed with both legs? Okay, I want you to slide that left foot forward. Good, reach back for the bed and sit. Good, have those fingertips facing away. Good, so that bed height is for the patient. For her, I probably could have come up a little bit. For hip patients, we want the bed height slightly higher than a typical transfer, and that's just so that they sit on something higher, less likely that they break 90 degrees. Okay, questions on that?
Do we have to keep hand on the shoulder, or can we do, I don't know, because I guess my thing is I always want to be then on the front too, so that way you have hands on the belt in case they were to go down, because then that's extra time of going there. Could you stabilize the trunk at the belt in the front?
So for this, we want up on the shoulder and underhand grip on the gait belt. The gait belt we want in the middle of the low back. That's where you're gonna have the most weight of the patient and like optimal position for the biceps to hold. The top hand is for the shoulder. That way you can stop, not necessarily buckling, but balance loss. You've got more control up high on the patient, and also for these types of patients, for them hinging forward. So one hand always on the trunk at the shoulder. And make sure you're on proximally versus down here. The arm's mobile, it will move, and you're not gonna actually affect anything. You wanna be here, up on top, okay? Now, any questions on wheelchair to bed? We're gonna do bed to wheelchair because it does change a little bit with how we set up the environment. So she's here, let's say, I've got trunk contact, we're at the edge of the bed. As soon as we stand up, so go ahead and stand up, I'm just gonna walk you through it. Go ahead and stand up for me.
Like normally?
Yeah, just normal.
Okay.
This is a test. All right, she's here. What's the first thing we do once the patient stands? To
Take a
move
step forward.
Step forward. So go ahead and take a step forward like we just did.
Walker affected.
Okay. Is she now in line with the wheelchair? Did she step past it?
In line.
She's in line
So
when she starts turning.
depends on how she turns. It depends on how far her step is. Okay. I want this wheelchair about a foot away from the bed to come back to the wheelchair. That way, if we don't, I'm on her, one, we'd have to switch the side, right? If I were guarding her and she starts rotating, I'm gonna get pinched off by the bed. So come backwards, back to the bed. So another reason why we have them step forward is if she starts rotating towards me, keep turning towards me, towards me.
That's all right.
Good, you're good.
Yeah.
I no longer can guard her on her, if our affected side, if we're going to that wheelchair, okay? So come back to the beginning. That's what we take our step forward. Because we're stepping away from the bed, right now our wheelchair is directly next to the bed. I need to kind of plan ahead, know that she's gonna take one step forward, depending on the height of our patient, about a foot. That way she has a goal, okay? I can take a decent step forward, that way I have enough room to guard her on that affected side. Does that make sense? That's the only thing that changes. Technique is the same, it's just the setup with this chair. And then once again, where should those leg rests be?
Close.
Close, okay? So you can go ahead and sit back down. Well, I'll do it for real. But we'll keep the affected side the same. So one transfer you do with those patients for this class as far as black and white, okay? So you see total hip replacement, you're gonna think standing assisted pivot with a front wheeled walker, okay? So that's the transfer you'll choose. You're gonna have to grab one of these. We don't expect you to size and fit this device appropriately, more or less. We don't need you to. We're gonna go over fitting these devices in the second half of this class when we start doing gait functional mobility. For now, I just want you to more or less get it to the patient's height. If we are not super tall, don't have the walker up here, and if we are tall, don't have it down here. That's our only ask, okay? So, in order to do this transfer, we have to use the walker. So whenever we do, let me grab a chair. Whenever we do a transfer with a patient, you look at your rubric. One of the first things you'll do demonstrate. Okay? We're gonna not just verbalize and coach them through it, we're gonna show them so that they know what to expect. Okay? So this was my patient, and I was going to show her what we're doing. I'm gonna back her here. Just gonna leave you unlocked for a second.
Break precautions. Sleep boarding.
Kick the leg out.
Right? So you can do this to open up that hip angle, but I can have her slouch. That'll create a space here. I can reach behind her, I can apply the belt, and she can move back into this position. That way I don't have to be hands-on, right? So if she were to scoot forward, at that point forward, I'd have to have hands-on. So I want her to slouch, I'll apply the belt, keeping those shoulders back, and then she can return to that starting position. So belt is on, I'm gonna do my demo. So what it's gonna look like is we're going to slouch and then come forward. That way we haven't broken 90, we're at 90 here. The left leg, I'm just gonna mirror it. Our left leg is affected. Before we stand up, I want that foot slightly forward. What that's gonna do is put more weight on the unaffected leg. It also opens up that hip angle so that we don't break 90, okay? We're gonna instruct the patient to stand leading with their hips, okay? That way, again, we focus on, instead of nose over toes, we might break it, we're gonna try to bring those hips up as best we can. Wheelchair, you're always gonna push from the armrest. So armrest here, you're gonna bring the affected leg back underneath the patient, like this. That way you can bear more weight on it. On the count of 3, let's stand up. 1, 2, 3. Here, and then reset, bring that affected leg back. So now we're here, we're ready. She can hold on to the walker. The first thing she's gonna do is take 1 step forward. Again, we're not doing gait right here. If you know the proper leg to go forward first, it's gonna be the affected leg, but we're not critiquing the gait pattern, okay? That's for practical 2. So, should be walker, affected, unaffected. The reason we have her take a step forward is to create a space back here so the therapist can be closer to guard the patient. Because back here, wheelchair's in the way. I want to be posterior lateral, so kind of back here on the patient. That way if she falls, I'm there to effectively catch her.
You can also see if they're leaning against the chair with their knees for
Yes,
balance.
because that can give an inaccurate representation of their balance if they're resting against the chair. So step forward, boom, boom. Then we're gonna start rotating away from the bed. Okay, if my left leg, my right leg, her left leg is affected, if I do this, what have we done? We've just internally rotated, right? So what should I do first?
Move the foot,
Okay, move the foot,
walker.
walker, other foot. Okay, and you just do that, so as many times as it takes to get here,
Just step
facing away
back.
from the bed. Stepping back, we're gonna go back with the unaffected leg, affected here, or it can be unaffected, walker. Again, it doesn't matter as much. Ideally, we don't go back with the affected leg first in case it were to buckle. You don't wanna have that happen. So more weight gets put on the first leg to go back. Unaffected, affected here. I wanna have both legs touch the bed. You'll ask the patient, do you feel the bed with both legs? They'll say yes. What should this affected leg do now?
Go
Kick out.
Kick out
Forward.
slightly, doesn't have to be super exaggerated, just needs to be slightly in front to open up that hip angle, take less of the weight on it. You're gonna have her reach back for the bed, you're gonna help sit down, trying to keep those shoulders back, and then they'll rest on the bed like this. Okay, and then from there you would do your long sit to get them into bed. Okay, questions?